Hey fellas, and welcome back to another NRL Fantasy Fanatics YouTube video. And tonight we've got our main video of the week, our buy, hold, sell. Some interesting things to pick apart today. And no Will tonight, so it's just me. Will's got some other commitments. So without further ado, we'll get into our first buy. First buy, we got Payne Haas coming in as an obvious one, 880k. And as you can see, first 2 weeks, he's got an 81 and an 85 from average around 53 minutes, which is absolutely unreal. He's looking the best I've honestly ever seen him. And that's why he's our buy of a week, I'd say, if you can afford him, especially against the Cowboys at Suncorp. Cowboys look very weak through the middle and edges, and he's going to score another, I reckon, 70 to 80, and that's why he's also going to be our best captaincy option. But as we mentioned last night, if you caught our video, we don't want you guys to rip up your teams in order to get Haas. We've seen so many DMs about people trying to get rid of Cleary and Yo in order to get Haas. Don't trade a season-long keeper for another season-long keeper. If you can somehow, if you have cash in the bank last week from any the trades you made, and you can do Hosking to maybe a Nicholson and then maybe a Barnett to a Haas. That's the only reason I do it, but I wouldn't go Yo, Cleary, or anyone else like that up to a Haas. You just don't want to rip up your team. But yeah, he's our buy of the week, and if you can afford him and reasonably go for him, you got to have him in. Next buy, we got Matty Nicholson coming in at 501k, price at 37 with a break even of 8. He played 65 minutes last week at lock, scoring 2 tries and 2 line breaks with 7 tackle busts, which is as many attacking stats as you can get, really, which is a bit concerning for owners. Well, for people looking to bring him in, he does smell a bit trappy in my eyes, but it's a fun risk, and it's a risk I'm going to take with Hosking out for 4+ weeks or 3 to 4 weeks. I am personally downgrading Hosking straight to Nicholson, and he's at the edge spot, and all he needs is about 45 to 55 points, and he'll make you a lot of cash. So he's a fun risk, and he's a risk I'm going to be taking, and I'm sure a lot of people will be this week. So Matty Nicholson, our second buy. Our third buy, Greg Marzhew, coming in at 544k. After two scores of 52 and 70, with not a hell of a lot of attacking stats, with 1 try and 1 line break in the 2 games he's played, and still pumping out an average of 61. There's no reason why you shouldn't buy Greg Marzhew. Get a week out of him this week with his break even at 15, then use him as a looping option next week when they have their bye, and then you're set with him for a while. He doesn't play Origin, so he's going to be a season-long keeper this year. And as you can see over here, average of 5 offloads to the first in the first 2 games and 4.5 offloads to hand. This bloke's an absolute weapon as a winger. And you might argue that you can wait a week until after his bye, but I reckon you want to make use of his 15 break even because he's going to keep going up in cash. So as you can see, 30% of the top 100 own him, which is why they're in the top 100. And I think Greg Marzhew is going to keep pumping out the scores of 55 to 60. So another good buy. Our fourth buy, and this is one where I think it's your last week to get Humphreys before he's gonna be have made too much cash. So coming in with a 75 and a 72 in the first 2 weeks and an average of 689 meters of kicking is absolutely ridiculous. He's putting up Nathan Cleary numbers, if not more. Hasn't scored a try yet, no try savers, and just the 2 try assists in his 2 games, and he's still averaging 73 and a half. He's got the best rig in the NRL, and I think it's this or next week is probably your last week to get him. And if you can downgrade a Hosking, you can go to Hosking to Humphreys or Hosking to Nicholson. Then I'd lock it in. But you got to have him in. He's going to hurt you if you don't. And as you can see, 91% in the top 5K own him, so you can't miss out on him. Get him in this week if you can. Our first hold of the week, as mentioned when we were talking about Payne Haas, I'm seeing a lot of people trade out Isaiah Yo. I think he is a firm hold for the week. His break even is 84. He will probably lose money, but though I feel like that game is his lowest game since 2019, a complete anomaly. The tackling numbers were down. And then first week you can see he did get the try, but did score 68. And I reckon he'll continue to go back to what he was the last 5 years and average mid 60s from here on out. Against Storm, it'll be an even game, which means the ball will be split evenly between Storm and Penrith, which means he'll have the opportunity to make a lot of tackles this week. And Rabbits and Cows, Dolphins, Sydney, four pretty poor teams, and I think he'll go back to averaging 60 to 65. It's our first hold of the week. Second hold, another Penrith man, Nathan Cleary. I've seen a lot of people get rid of Nathan Cleary to try get in Haas. Another mistake. Nathan Cleary's been the best player in the NRL for the last 4 years, 5 years. And looking at his scores here, you got 56 and 63 with nothing really going for him. He's got three try assists and he's only scoring a 60. He is a try scoring half, and I reckon a try is coming for him. And I can see him. Everyone knows his ceiling's at about 100, and his floor is probably around 50. He hasn't scored much more lower than 50. You see a few anomalies here, but 56 and 63 is a low game for him, and I don't really see that happening too much more. So a strong hold for Cleary. He's still a good captaincy option, and don't you can't get rid of Nathan Cleary. Everyone knows that. Our next hold, suspended for 2 weeks. Lockie Hubner at 310K, still a break even of zero. And his first two games, 34 and 49 from around 55 minutes at lock. Um, the reason we've got Hubner as a hold is just because he once he finishes his suspension, he's going to come back into that spot and he will keep getting, I reckon, 50 minutes and averaging around 40 to 45 points, which is going to make you a bulk of cash here if we just plug it in. He's going to make 155K in 3 weeks, which is nuts. You cannot get rid of this guy. Use him as a looping option. And if you don't know how to loop, we made a preseason video about 2 months ago, I reckon, on our channel. So have a look at that if you want to know how to loop. But suspended for 2 weeks, you'll get two looping weeks out of him. Hold him. There's no reason to sell him. There's definitely more sells this week. And this one, Reece Walsh, after a rubbish score last year of -1, he's our hold slash sell of the week. As you can see here, he's got great fixtures coming up in Cows, Dolphins, Tigers, Sydney, Wars, and Canterbury. And then Penrith being a difficult one, and then Rabbits and Dragons before his bye. The fixtures are great coming up for him. And you can see last year, a little up and down, but he's got scores 63, 73, 64, 76. He can produce his ceilings around 80 to 85, but the floor, like we saw last week, -1 isn't good enough. So in our eyes, it's a coach's choice. If you want to hold on to him, we'd probably recommend holding on to him with those fixtures. He will bounce back, and we do expect a bounce back game from him. But if you do want to sell him to downgrade to maybe another cheaper wing fullback or a Nicholson or Humphreys, then that's fine too. It's an either or, and it's up to you. So our first clear sell of the week, we've got Zach Hosking 622K with the injury he sustained out for 3 to 4 weeks. You're going to be our first sell. Had a great start to the year and picked up that injury, obviously. And from my team, I've just gone Hosking straight to Nicholson, and I think a lot of people will be doing that. Not much more to be said here. Um, yeah, get rid of him. 3 to 4 weeks, you can't justify having a 622K player out for that long. Hosking to Nicholson seems like a smart choice, but if you don't like Nicholson, maybe swap a Seyfarth in for Hosking and then go Hosking to Humphreys and bank the cash or upgrade maybe a Mitch Barnett to a Payne Haas. So first sell of the week goes to Hosking. Second sell, Adam Fonua-Blake coming in at 767K. A lot of people might find this controversial, but the break even of 70 is what's going to kill him. After a lower score of 36 from just 49 minutes at prop, you can't justify that. And over his career, he's only got a PPM of 0.91, which means if he does continue to get 49 minutes, he's most likely, if he doesn't score a try, going to get around 45 points. And for a guy of this price, you can't justify that. Price at 57, he's losing about 12 points of value. And if we plug in just say averages 45, he's going to lose 77k in the next 3 weeks, and that's an absolute liability in your team. And even more reason to trade him this week with Haas being 110k more expensive. Just downgrade Hosking to Nicholson and then Fonua-Blake to Haas is what I do. And those are the two perfect trades of the week. So Adam Fonua-Blake, sell him immediately if you can. Our next sell, we've got Tom Duffy here, who's been dropped from the Cowboys in replace of Clifford. Two pretty poor scores from him. 39 you'd take, but against the Sharks, Cowboys just looked in all sorts and nothing was going for him. Five missed tackles and just a liability, losing too many points, being dropped as we know. Get rid of him. 292k. Stafford Toa, who we didn't mention in our buys, he should be a good option this week. He's about 30k cheaper than Tom Duffy, so I'd go straight from Tom Duffy to Stafford Toa. But if you really want to get Haas and you're going to leave Tom Duffy in for another week, that's fine. He won't lose money, and you can use him as a looping option. So either sell him this week, or preferably this week or next week to get rid of Duffy, as I don't see, unless Clifford has an absolute shocker, I don't see Duffy regaining the spot back for a while. So immediate sell. Another one, some late news of Dylan Lucas out for 3 to 4 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks with a hamstring injury. Look, it's an interesting one here. As we've seen, first 2 weeks, 57 and 66, and with a lowish break even, he's still going to continue to make money. It's an interesting one. I personally don't own him, which is good news for me, but a lot of people do, as you can see, 20%. I reckon he's, I honestly reckon he could be a hold or a sell. A lot of people are saying he's a hold. I think he's a hold or sell, as I just mentioned. He's got Gold Coast this week, then the bye, so that's 2 weeks out already, and then Canterbury and Tigers, which I'd say by Sharks round, he should be back, and then he'll go retain the spot immediately. And then he's got Sharks, Warriors, Rabbitohs, Gold Coast, Para, Penrith, St. George. So besides Penrith, those are that's a pretty easy run of fixtures, and I can justify holding him. But if you have a Ponga and a Marzu and a Dylan Lucas, you'll have three people out next week. Maybe you want to trade him this week to maybe a Pappenhausen for wing fullback cover, but it's the user's choice. It's completely up to you. And look, I don't own him, and if you do own him, as a lot of people do, it's a hold slash sell for me. I'd probably lean to selling him, to be honest. That's a lot of money to have not playing for 3 to 4 weeks, especially with a Bo Fermor in the mix, a Matty Nicholson, and a Jamie Humphreys who you can cash down way down to, and then maybe upgrade to get Haas. So another player I'll mention here, oh whoops, Max King, who has been killing it so far this year, averaging around 55-ish. Yeah, 53 average so far with 51 and a 56 from 50 minutes. His PPM has been increased this year. He did get a try saver last week and averaging around 30 tackles with only two misses and three tackle busts and a few offloads. He's got a lot of attacking output and he's running a ball a lot more than he is last year. 143, 177 compared to low hundreds this year or not even cracking 100. So the Doggies have pulled him aside as one of their main players, and they're giving him the ball a lot more, which is great for him. And with Burton out, I think they'll rely on Max King a fair bit this week, and I think he's going to be another great pod, just 1% owned, which I reckon if he puts another 50 to 55 out, that will continue to increase. And he's still going to make a bit of money, still probably 2 to 6 points of value to be made there, but he's going to be one of our pods this week. Another one who we had as a pod earlier in the year and then had got injured is Takiaho, who's come back from injury and straight back into the team at prop, starting prop. He's one who we're going to watch, and then depending how well he does, if he gets 40 to 45 minutes, his PPM is very good. So he can easily get 40, 50 points from those minutes, and that's why we're going to watch him. And another player I didn't mention before, Ryan Pappenhausen, one who I've got this week. After his 70 points in round one against the Eels, look, he's not going to be versing the Eels every week. He's got Penrith this week, so it might be a bit of a low scorer. But he's also got St. George, Manly, tough one. And then Warriors, Dolphins, Rabbits, Canterbury, Tigers. That is a crazy run of fixtures in a great Storm team. He's running the ball, line breaks, line break assists, tackle busts. He's looking back to what he was before he suffered that knee injury. And as a person who has Ponga and Marzu, I need that wing fullback cover for next week, and Ryan Pappenhausen is the man for me. So that's why I'll be going with him. But just a quick fire buy hold sell this week, and that's all we've got for you tonight. As always, thanks for all the support, and we'll good luck for the week. We'll if you peep our Instagram, we'll put our tips of the week down there. And yeah, thanks for all the support on Instagram and YouTube. Make sure you have a look at our private group. We've got our pods of the week coming out tonight, and we wouldn't want any of you to miss out on that. We've already seen great results from our members. Most of them are inside the top 15K already, which is great for them, and we don't want you to miss out on that. And as always, if you have any other questions, just leave a comment down below, or we're always active on Instagram, and we're happy to answer any questions. So that's all we got for you tonight, fellas, and thanks always, and we'll see you in the next one.